With things heating up on the impeachment front, and with many conservatives taking on the president over his decision on Syria, joining us now from Los Angeles is Sean Spicer, the former White House press secretary and now senior advisor to the America First PAC. And Sean, I'm trying to imagine you still at the White House podium being asked why Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, Mitch McConnell, and other Republicans and many media conservatives, including at Fox and elsewhere, are now castigating the president for his decision on Syria with the Kurds under military assault. This isn't one that can be blamed on the liberal media, is it?
No, but I think that there's two different issues here. There's the politics of it, and then there's the policy of it. When it comes to the politics of it, I think the president's been very clear that he made a commitment during the campaign trail that he was going to get out of what he calls these endless wars. And you've seen him, not just in Syria, but throughout the globe, Afghanistan and elsewhere, talk about pulling back U.S. troops and bringing them home after years of fighting wars that he didn't think were just or appropriately started. So this is fairly consistent with what the president promised the American people. And you've seen him take that case to the American people. He did it yesterday at the speech with evangelical leaders, where he talked about the fact that he's bringing troops home, he's keeping his commitment. That's separate than the policy of it. And I think where you see Republican leaders and frankly, leaders on foreign policy and elsewhere is they're fighting him on the policy. The thing that I think is interesting is from a political standpoint, as he heads into re-election, he's going to get probably more credit for keeping his word than anything else, because most people don't get into the machination of why we're in Syria, who the Kurds are, who the Turks are, what's at stake. They understand the fact that we've been doing these fighting in these interventions in various countries for years on end, and have lost focus on why we're there. And the president's commitment to bring them home probably resonates more than the policy does.
Well, it's certainly true that he did campaign against endless wars and still talks about it. On impeachment, it seems to me that many journalists and pundits have sort of ratcheted up their rhetoric since the president a few days ago said he's not cooperating with a House investigation that he views as illegitimate. Now, I know he says the Democrats are being totally unfair to the Republicans in terms of process, but doesn't that give the press an opening, a sort of a prime opportunity to accuse the White House of stonewalling?
It does give them an opening, but I don't know that it's fair, because if you look at both the Nixon and the Clinton impeachment, the House did vote, and there are certain formalities that are afforded to the president then, in terms of being able to call witnesses, having due process. Pelosi and the Democrats want to have it both ways. They want to talk about an impeachment, but they don't want to put the 31 Democrats that are in Trump's seats on the record as far as what they're going to vote. And it's really easy to say stuff and to go through the motions without actually having to call a spade a spade. And that's where I think that they're playing cute by half. Pelosi wants to talk about an impeachment, but she doesn't actually want to put her members on record on it. If she's so committed to doing this, put it on the record, vote for it like they did in Clinton and Nixon, and then you can move forward, and then it's a different game. But the president is basically calling her bluff and saying, if you want to go through with this, put your members on the record, because she knows that she's been assuaging her far left right now, but she's trying to have it both ways and walk that tightrope and not put those 31 Democrats at risk, and frankly, her majority and her speakership.
I'm sure you mean Democrats in moderate districts. Speaking of the Democrats, the president says again and again that the press, which he now calls the corrupt media, is partners with the Democrats in this whole impeachment investigation. Do you buy that? And if you do you think that's true of all journalists? Well, I've always said that I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot of journalists that I think don't do a good job, a lot of journalists who I think sensationalize and take things to an extreme, but I don't think that it's smart to cast all of journalists with the same broad brush, because then you can't hold up the ones that I think do a good job, and there are several. But I think, if you look back to Molly's point a moment ago with respect to Syria, you've got a lot of journalists, even with respect to the Syria policy decision, who are coming out and giving their own opinion. Your Richard Engel example was spot on, where he's talking about it being a stain. That's not reporting, that's commentary. And you're seeing the same thing with impeachment, that they're basically shielding Hunter Biden and Joe Biden from their past while going after the president. And there is a fair question to ask, why did Hunter Biden get $50,000 a month from a Ukrainian energy company when he had no experience in the energy field whatsoever? The only experience he had was being the son of a sitting vice president that was leading on Ukrainian issues. That is absolutely a fair question. Absolutely a fair question to ask.
Absolutely. I agree
But
with
Howie,
you.
here's the thing. Here's the difference. Not just asking the question, but I read commentary over and over again in some of these news stories where it'll say Biden did nothing wrong. Well, that's not their job. We don't know if Biden did or didn't do anything. We don't know why Hunter Biden got that job. And for journalists to make that assertion in stories is basically them coming to the defense of the Democrats and Biden without knowing the facts. And it's amazing the way that they rush to defend Biden and immediately crucify the president.
Well, there's a distinction to be made, I think, between the appearance of getting all that money with no experience, which stinks, and the question of criminal wrongdoing. But before we go, you're out there in L.A., you're still on Dancing with the Stars, but in a post-show interview with Erin Andrews, you dropped some curse words and you had to be bleeped. What were you thinking?
No, that's not accurate. If you go back,
It's
I've
fake
got
news?
the live version of it.
What?
I didn't.
It's fake news?
Huh?
It's fake news?
Well, I did not. No, I was excited, but I did not.
Oh, okay. All right.
No, I am definitely excited to go on every week, but
All right.
I've heard the live version of this.
All right. Sean Spicer, very great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Howie.